A recent analysis by the CDC Foundation found that nearly 60% of American women who die in childbirth could have been prevented.
Depending upon where a baby is born in California, the C-section rate can vary from 7% to 70%. Yelp is now actually putting on their Yelp scores the C-section rate of hospitals. So this is a powerful tool to really have the public make an informed decision to say, I'm not going to deliver at that hospital, or think twice because that C-section rate is high.
I see women who have unplanned, unwanted pregnancies from all different backgrounds. If you want to know who the patients are, I see, just look in the mirror. They're you. But disproportionate of those women are women of color and poor women, because as my colleague said earlier, unplanned, unwanted pregnancies occur disproportionately to women who don't have access to medically accurate sex education, modern methods of contraception, and health care.
What's happening is that we've got a combination of things going on. Women are waiting longer to have a baby, and there's more complications as you get older. So there's a give and take. And we here in the United States have an amazing ability to actually intervene when necessary.
Can you tell us a little bit about your research?
I published an analysis in 2014 looking at 10 years of television portrayals, and something like 90% of the characters getting abortions were white. And then Shonda Rhimes came along and changed that, like, almost single-handedly. And so we've seen a lot more diverse portrayals.
A lot of women actually say that they feel a great amount of relief, and that's not often portrayed in television and film and media. And so we wanted to portray that. And so with Camila, the character y'all saw in the clip, in season 4, she just knows right away. She's like, this isn't some big discussion for me. She still, obviously she had her emotions around it, but she was very clear. And she was very clear, this is my body, this is what I'm gonna do.
What I do is help women. And so when I say that I'm pro-abortion, I'm pro-abortion the way a cardiothoracic surgeon is pro-heart transplant. They don't want somebody to need a heart transplant, but if a heart transplant is necessary, they should be able to get one, and there should be no limitations.
Birth is birth, and birth is beautiful, and you never want to make one woman feel bad because she had a C-section, or she didn't, or she couldn't have a home birth, or she was scared, because at the end of the day, she's a mom, and that's the most beautiful thing on the planet. But if you can at least educate the young people so they have a chance to understand, because they learn from what you guys write.
I can't help but wonder if we start to look at the correlation between the disappearance of abortion care and our rising maternal mortality, that we wouldn't find a link.
Willie has a great part in his book where a first trimester abortion takes around 5 minutes. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. And so to be able to have a conversation with a physician and their patient, that was a really compelling 5 minutes. And to have the patient say, when are we going to start the abortion? And the doctor being able to say, we're done.
We're welcoming baby into the world. We're looking to make mom is doing well. They're all crying. Everyone is crying joyously. And the baby, by the first couple of hours, is crawling up to the nipple. And those first couple of hours, that's the goal, to make sure mom is not bleeding, the placenta comes out normally, baby is breastfeeding.
I was right there, and I got to pray for my daughter as as she inched her way into this world, with no one around me telling me I couldn't be there, on our bed, playing the music, singing to her. And then she's born, and she goes right on my wife's chest, and I get to whisper in her ear, and I get to talk to her and welcome her to the world, and everyone around us is quiet. The midwives aren't saying anything, the doulas aren't saying anything. It's me and my wife and my daughter sharing an experience that would have never been possible in a hospital.
Given that pregnancies go awry, given that circumstances get crazy, and given that there are times when abortion for that particular person is the best situation, the irreducible minimum says, I never want a woman to need an abortion who can't get one.
90s, early 2000s, a lot of young white high schoolers getting abortions. And that's not to say that that's unrealistic, because that's tens of thousands of young white high schooler young women are getting abortions every year. But if that's all we see, you're leaving out a lot of stories. And as Willie mentioned, a lot of poor women and women of color, their stories aren't being told.
1 in 5 women nationwide have postpartum depression. And again, unfortunately, there's a disparity in ethnicities, and that rate is about 27% of African American moms. So it goes from 20 to 27% of African American moms have depression.
There shouldn't be an exception. You know, there is no good abortion, there is no bad abortion, there's just the abortion you need. And I think that we need to work from those frameworks and start by listening to the stigma that we have just swallowed for so long that we don't even realize we're parroting as people who might be pro-choice. You know, when people say, well, no one's for abortion, I'm like, I am for abortion. I believe that abortion is good. I believe that you shouldn't feel bad about having one or talking about it. And that stops people in their tracks a lot of times, right? And they're like, well, how can you be for that? And I said, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
I had never actually tried a virtual reality experience before. So my first experience now was to be put in the real life situation to see how a young woman who is going to the abortion clinic is how she's harassed by the people outside of it. So I guess I would just say it was very interesting, it was very enlightening.
I think that it can target and change the way you think about compassion and the way you think about manipulation. It forces you into that seat very overtly, uncomfortable.
I don't know, I sort of wanted to like scream at the protesters.
I almost felt like I was in the shoes of a woman, felt terribly alone, persecuted. I was just struck by the cruelty, lack of compassion, hypocritically by people who are supposed to have compassion.